I'm Vito Lee Marconi. This is my wife.
Sonia Marconi.
And we started, actually, our friends, Rachel and Ethan Harris, and Thomas and Tisha Bob. We've been friends with them for a while. They invited us to Bible study last summer, and then we were going to that for a while in Nispelem. And then it kind of moved from there to Thomas and Tisha's house. And then they asked us if, we wanted to had our beliefs in Christ, and we did. But we weren't avid followers. We just knew there was a higher power, but we just like, okay. So the more we kept going, the more we started to find our beliefs and started our walk stronger than it was. And we got baptized on the same day. It was raining. Nice. Pretty good cleansing. And then our walk started then. And we, at first, I'm not even going to lie, I was just going through the motions. Like, okay, yeah, I'm baptized. I have all this other stuff that holding me away. And then finally, as soon as I started believing and then stopped being fake, started coming to church. Here at Cooley Dam Community Church. And then we've been coming here since late October, early November, one of the two. And then since then, we've been coming all the time. If you would have saw me a year ago, a year and a half ago, before I was baptized, this is not the same guy. Attitude, my wife can talk now.
I think I was a little faster at wanting to turn to Christ this time than he was. I was more apt to believing and following and wanting him to come along, and I wanted to push him along, but I can't make him do something he wasn't ready to. So that was the change that I had to work within myself, and that was something that was addressed, and he eventually came on his own.
And it was good because some of the people when I was a believer, when I was a young teenager, were still coming. And then it's like, oh, hey, thanks. And then they're like, you're back. Or so it just helped out a lot, too, because some of the old familiar faces that kind of helped remind me, like, yes, you did have a belief before. And just because you turned doesn't mean it's gone. So
I like that everybody's so friendly and willing to just be open, and they actually are caring when they ask how your day is. It's not just, oh, how are you? Okay, just kind of a checked out conversation. People are actually interested. They want to know. They want to have a family life with you.
And I think, for me, it's like we're all broken. We all come here broken. And then the more that we engage with the fellow Christians here, some of them been to the same walks we have and can give us the guidance that we need, or the prayers when we ask for prayers, because I know we're going through a bunch of stuff in our personal lives, and then we reach out asking for prayers, and everybody here is more willing to help. What do you need help with? And that helps a lot. Power in prayer. So it's been a blessing.
We hope we can continue to reach out to other people.
And that we can get more people to come here, get further within our reservation to bring more followers to Christ, and go Hawks.
My name's Danielle Florenzen, and I've been coming to the Cooley Dam location since they first opened in last October. I'd gone to church for years, off and on with my family, and baptized as a young kid. Don't think I fully understood at the time what I was doing, getting into. But I went to church, and I liked it. My friends were there, and went to church camp and enjoyed it, and felt like it gave me great fundamentals for my future. And so in July of 2005, I got into a car accident. I crested a hill north of Heartline, gravel road. You couldn't see coming up to the hill the other car, and so couldn't see our headlights. It was at night. And we head-oned. There's no explanation why we probably are alive today. The person in the other car was a classmate of mine. It was a couple miles from my house. Completely scary, one of the scariest nights of my life. I got a call from his mom the next day, and she said, you guys are so lucky. And she kind of put it in perspective. She's like, you guys had somebody watching out for you. And she said it multiple times to me and in that conversation. And so we got off the phone, and that was kind of like my aha moment. She's right. There's no explanation why we both turned the opposite way we should have turned, and why, you know, he walked away with a broken nose and collarbone and I had bruises. That was it. Like after a head-on car crash that totaled both of our vehicles, just didn't make sense. And so that was kind of my aha moment. And then from there, I went to college a couple weeks later and kind of been in and out of church. You know, the older we got in high school, we got busier with sports and kind of weren't as present as, you know, we'd like to be. But nevertheless, I went to college and had been in and out of church for the 4 years I was there with some friends and didn't really connect with any of the churches. And so I moved home after I graduated and got married to Adam. And we started to think about having a family, and something that was important to me was giving my children the fundamentals of having Christ in their life and going forward. And so we really hadn't found a church at that time that we still connected with. And then I think I saw Amy or Tom's or maybe your, Paul, your Facebook post about the Cooley Dam location opening up, which I was so excited about. So I knew a few people in the church, and it was, you know, it's nice to know somebody when you go. And I tell you, I've never been so welcomed to a church. I wasn't judged for not have ever been to this congregation before. I was so welcomed. And still, to this day, I might miss a week or two, you know, somebody in the family gets sick, and so I got to stay and take care of them and come back, and it's like I didn't miss a day, you know. And so it's a family. I can feel that already, and it's just been so wonderful. To have our boys and have our second son Trip be born into this family and know what this is about and just grow up with it. What I love about it also is the time it gives me to reflect. It might be, you know, an hour and a half a week that I have to dedicate towards it, but I reflect on my past week. How was I as a mom? How was I as a wife? You know, is that what I want for myself? How did I portray myself? And so thinking going forwards, you know, I really want to, you know, work on this next week. I need to be more patient, and it kind of puts life in perspective for me, even though it's a quick hour and a half to refocus. But more importantly, back to my accident, I think what kind of struck with me was I was very lucky, and so was my friend, to have walked away from that accident, and that I can't take that for granted, and that I have unfinished business is how I started to look at it here. With my life, and I need to be doing something with it to give back and serve my community. And so that's what I strive to do. I strive to, you know, just take advantage of this opportunity that I was given. And so it's been a real eye-opener for me. And although it was an aha moment back then, and it didn't really come to fruition until probably this last 2 years, I would say, it's been a big deal for, you know, my family and me to see this mature into what's happening. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
My name is Greg Anderson, and I have been here since the very first meeting. And my testimony is a short one. My wife was fascinated with the architect of the building, especially with the red door. Matter of fact, she had me paint our door red. So we have a red door at home also. And she wanted to go, and I tagged along. And we're still here.
My name's Jerry Anderson. Greg and I have been together since we first met when I was 14 and he was 18. So as you can see, if you guys have any little children in your life or teenagers in your life, that's pretty young. We got into a boat together, and it was a great trip. The faster I could bail water into the boat, you know, he had to keep up bailing it out. We were in a church for a while when we were young, and our kids were little. And again, I ran headlong into it. And 5 years later, we realized that it had probably a whole lot, not a whole lot to do with God. It was pretty oppressive and controlling. They'd cut themselves off from the world. They were cutting us off from the world. We were thankful to God that we escaped. And then we were pretty shy. We were pretty gun shy about churches and about any kind of religious affiliations. And we hit churches for the next 30 years. We hit churches here and there, never stayed very long. And our kids grew up, and I kept bailing water into the boat, and Greg kept bailing water out of the boat, and went through some pretty heavy things. 15 years ago, Greg was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I really started bailing water into that boat. And the more water, and it's just got to the point where I just don't think that he could keep up anymore. But instead of slowing down, I just picked up. I was just bailing faster. I'm trying to keep my head above water, and I just saw him get into a little lifeboat and start moving away from me. And I don't think that he saw it that way. I think that he saw that I was making so many waves that his boat was just being pushed further and further away. And I began to drown. I had loved this building, and we lived right up the street, and I had came by this building so many times, never went to church here. I saw the sign, and I can't say that we knew anything about Elmira or anything. I just knew that I was drowning. And I just said, it's open, Greg. It's going to be open, and we're going to go. And basically drug him. Came in the first day and planted us there in the front row, and I liked what I heard. I didn't want to get into a situation like we'd been before, and was pretty determined not to. And
you had no idea what to expect here as far as church service went.
Yeah, we had no idea. So came back the next week, and he liked it even more, and liked what you had to say. And I think we came for 3 or 4 more services, but I came once by myself, and I remember that it was pretty powerful, and God really convicted me that morning, and I fell apart, and there was just some really loving people that just put their arms around me, and they took me off to the back room, and they prayed over me, and they listened to me, and I left embarrassed that I had made such a scene. I felt like I had. I don't know if I had or not. I think that I was pretty out of it. But I went home, and I didn't come back for a month. And I couldn't figure out what was making this, what would make this so different. You know, I seriously did not know what made the word, the sermons that I was hearing, the people so different. And in that month, I think I realized that it was love, that I had never felt that type of love ever. And it was scary. You know, I just hardened my heart towards him. Does that make sense? I had just totally hardened my heart towards him, towards Greg, towards the world. And I decided that I wasn't worthy of love. But here was just, you know, no matter who I was, or I could be myself, and I didn't have to be a Bible scholar. I didn't have to know scripture, and I didn't have to. I could ask questions, and there was always someone to help me to find the answer until I can remember the day, and I probably remember the day too, Paul, that I just said, it's a living word. I opened that Bible myself, and I started to read it for the first time, and it spoke back to me, and it became a living word, and he became a living God. And I knew he loved me. And then it was no turning back, and don't even have a desire.